Welcome to the Zip Zero podcast. Zip Zero
with your host
Shannon Griffin. This is the famous Matt Hot Sauce Schrier. What's going on, bud? What's going on?
I don't know about famous, but yeah, hot sauce for sure. That is 100% for sure. I've been doing good, man. Just working and playing golf and wakeboarding, and just living up the bachelor life.
Right on, man. It looks like you got a little bit of sun there, man. You been out in the sun recently?
Yeah, man. I just got back from the Masters, and I wakeboarded Sunday, and then we went to Georgia and went to the Masters. So I've been in the sun a lot. I try to get out as much as I can for sure.
How did you finish at the Masters?
Dead last, and I didn't make the cut.
Oh, how many rounds of golf are you playing a week?
Anywhere from 1 to 3.
That's a lot of time.
At least 1 to 3. So yeah, so with my new job, I realized the better I am at golf, the more I get invited to do stuff, and the more sales I make. So it kind of works together pretty well.
Hey man, I don't think I could have the same results because when I play golf, I cuss a lot.
Yeah,
well, I'm not sure that's the best.
I definitely say my fair share of words of non-encouragement, but I've gotten better.
The only thing I've found is frustrating as golf is trying to learn how to skateboard. Both of them are so terribly hard, and I don't think they get the respect that it needs for the skill that it takes to do either one of them.
Definitely. I think in my entire career of skateboarding, I mean, the only thing that I can, I still can't do a kickflip, but I can do an ollie, and I can do a pop shove it. And then I think there was when you do a shove it, but you spin the board backwards, it's called, is that a back shove, or, instead of spinning it front, doing a shove it and spinning the board in front of you, I spin it behind me.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like with wakeboarding, you got front side, back side, any of that weird
I don't know if it's different. I just know that I used to I couldn't spin it front ways. I could spin it back ways and land it. And that was it. That was my claim to fame.
I looked like a skateboarder who was having a bad day all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Knew what I was doing, but I never landed anything, but the board could do a bunch of cool stuff underneath me. And anything I ever landed, 100% accident. 100% accident.
I could remember trying like a million kick flips and could just never get it. And then I took one big nasty fall and I was like, concrete hurts.
It hurts bad.
Yeah.
And you go through like 6 pairs of shoes to learn that one trick.
Oh yeah.
We were at a pro wakeboard competition in Atlanta, probably 97, 98. We were down there at board and wakeboard, and we were skateboarding at the hotel. Me and my buddy Michael Bradshaw were out skateboarding, and we can ollie. We were ollieing onto the curb, and I was catching some speed, and I did an ollie nose manual across this big platform, dropped the backside like I've done it a billion times. 1, completely accident. 2, would never be able to do it again.
Yeah. But you owned it. You owned it when you did it. Oh yeah.
I think the craziest thing I did was a 360 flip in the parking lot after waiting tables one night. We were out just working around after work, waiting tables. It was 11:30, 12 in the mall parking lot, and I did a 360 flip. And right before I did the pump, I could just stuck it, shot right up underneath me, flat on my back, dude.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, no, I had some friends that were really good, but it wasn't for me. I was big then too, so it was, when I fell, I was breaking concrete.
It was a thud.
Yeah, it was a thud.
Yeah, I don't get how the nuance of the footwork. I am barely decent enough with my feet attached to the board.
Yeah.
Aim to be able to do something, let alone my feet not being attached. So
yeah, and you, I always remember you just going freaking huge behind the boat, just sending it.
Well, that's all I could really bring to the table.
Yeah.
I wanted to always scare myself. So
Yeah.
if I was in the air in the middle of the trick, I wanted to have a little bit of concern while I was in the air if I could get it all back together.
Yeah. I definitely am not like that at all. No. Mm-mm.
I've realized that I'm probably about 50 pounds heavier than when I used to ride all the time now.
Mm-hmm.
And that 50 pounds is a whole lot more gravity pulling it down. That can't
Oh,
get,
yeah.
and the knees don't like it either. So you've gone the opposite direction. How is it working out for you?
Oh, it's going really good, man. Let's see, this April, it's like the day before my birthday when I had my surgery. But this April 27th will be 4 years, and I lost a total of 165 pounds, and I've kept 150 off for the last 3 years until COVID happened, and then I gained like 15 because I was eating the Lord's chicken every day for breakfast, and you can't do that. So I gained 15 to 20 pounds this year, and I've lost 5, and I kind of float, but I've still lost 150. I've still kept off 150 pounds for 4 years.
Wow, that's commendable, man. So I mean that's amazing because I know, and we'll get into, if you want to tell about what you actually had done and explain how that
Yeah.
worked. I have no idea, but I do remember that you, even before you had that surgery, you ran a half marathon, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. So the crazy thing was is I could lose the weight, I just couldn't keep it off. So like I would go every winter and like work out. One winter I did CrossFit, and then one winter I ran a half marathon, and like I'd lose 100 pounds every winter, and then I'd gain 100 plus every time. So like I would my entire life I've been big, and it's in my genes on my mom's side. So like my entire family is skinny except for one uncle and me. Everybody else is 200 or less, like skinny. My sister was like 110 her entire life. My mom was 110 pounds. Like it was me and my uncle. And then, like you said, I was active. I mean, even at 352 pounds, I wakeboarded, I played golf, I worked outside and landscaping. Like I just ate so much that and the crazy part is every time I went to the doctor, I was healthy as an ox. I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have, I wasn't diabetic. I didn't have I had a high metabolism, like all the stuff that you should have, I had, except for my BMI, technically my BMI was like almost 54%.
Good Lord, dude.
Yeah, it was like 53 and a half or something like that. And
Were you eating that
so
many calories a day, or was that just how your body was processing what you were eating?
probably both, a little bit of both. I mean, if you think about it in like the best way to really put it is a Mexican restaurant. So you get the fajita plate, right?
Right,
And then I could literally eat 2 bowls of chips, a fajita plate, and clean the plate, right?
right.
You have gastric bypass surgery and you get that fajita plate in front of you, you're eating on that for 3 days.
See, that might
Like
be what I need because I can knock down food like that. I get it.
yeah, I mean that's just it. Like I could do that no problem. And I couldn't control myself to where it was, how I ate. And then like even when I ran that half marathon, I lost like 100, I think it was like 110 pounds. And like once I got to 250, I couldn't break it. And I was doing 40, 50 miles a week, and I could not break 250.
Wow, that's
So
insane, man.
and then like I ran that, and I was eating good, and I could pretty much eat whatever I wanted to, and I still couldn't get past 250. And now I'm 200, but I got down to 185.
Man, I will never see 185 again. I think before I
Yeah.
left Wilmington, I got down to 190 after sweating outside all day. But just my
Yeah.
frame after getting mass after doing like the P90X, then we started doing the
Yeah.
Spartan races. When you were running that much, did you have any problems with your knees and ankles or your like a plantar fasciitis situation? Nothing like
No,
that?
I had a friend that knew how to run. So he kept me up with like, we got new shoes, like he took me to like Fleet Feet, and like I got fitted on how I ran. I had to wear, I think I was wearing Asics. The Asics did better for the way my heels struck on the inside. So they were better than the Brooks. And so like we always went every like 3 months and got new shoes. And like I never had like shin splints or anything. And I mean, if you think about it, like when I first started, I mean, 350 pounds moving,
It's a
it
lot
was
of
a
food.
lot. Yeah,
It's a lot of
because we did so we would run Monday like 5 miles, and then Tuesday we'd run 4, and then we would swim 2 miles at the pool in Cary, and then I'd run 4 again on Wednesday, and then we would run 4 on Thursday, swim 2 again. Friday we would run 5. Saturday we would run anywhere from 8 to 12, and then Sunday we would rest, just like that.
That sounds like you were getting ready to be a superhero in one of those Marvel movies. That sounds like a training
Yeah,
schedule.
yeah, it was more or less to get through winter because I hate like the 3 months of winter we have. Like I despise it.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, just from being on the water, like I just want to be outside. And the fact that it's dark at 5 and you can't do nothing for 4 or 5 hours till you go to bed, it's like, I was like, my buddy was like, let's run and swim. And I was like, sure, I need to lose weight.
Hey, I got to figure something out now that I have a desk job and I'm sitting most of the day. That is not conducive to shrinking your pant size for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And that's kind of what led me to the gastric. Like I lost that weight in 2012, and then it took me about a year and a half to gain it back. And then I went to the doctor. I mean, my mom's a nurse. She was a OR nurse for like 35 years. And she's like, okay, let's go to the doctor. Let's go talk and see if they can't give you like a pill to help with appetite suppression. Because we pretty much had it narrowed down to eating habit controlling. So then we talked to the doctor, and the doctor was like, he's like, I know you can lose the weight, but this is going to be the only way to really like keep it off. And because it forced you to not eat, like you don't like, I can only eat so much because if I eat too much, then I get sick. And then technically they say you get your hunger back, but it's 4 years. I'm never hungry. I just know that I have to eat. Like they said that I would get it back. And it's more or less like if I don't eat, I just start burping. And then if I eat too much too fast, I start burping as well. So it's kind of like weird how it works out.
Are there good burps, or like are they super loud ones, or are those just those annoying?
Just like it's just annoying, like repetitive, just like small little like that the whole entire time. It's funny though.
How was that surgery? Like, I mean, if you want to share, that'd be awesome. What did you have to go through, and was there a lot of recovery and pain and all that?
Yeah, so I went through an emotional roller coaster with my insurance company. I got Blue Cross Blue Shield. So like when they told me that I needed to have this surgery, or told me that I could have the surgery, they take you through like all these tests. So like you got to do like a sleep test, and you got to do a physical test, and you got to do like all this extra work, right? And so I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm in. Like if we're gonna do this, like I'm 100% in. So then I lined up the sleep test, which if you never have to do it, do not do it. It is the worst thing I've ever done. They have like wires on your face, on your chest, on your back, all the way down, like everywhere, right? And you're trying to sleep in this room, and they're like trying to, watch you and see what you do. And it's the most uncomfortable I've been in my entire life.
Dude, I sleep with no clothes on, so there's gonna have to be some kind of concessions made for somebody's visual, I guess.
And so what it comes down to is like, I guess the only unhealthy part about this shows you how healthy I was. I actually stopped breathing. My heart stopped 100 times a night. Like my heart physically died, and then it was so strong it brought itself back because I had sleep apnea and I never knew I had it, right? Because I was so overweight. And so I was putting all that stress on my heart and didn't know that I was doing that just from being overweight, which makes you kind of snore. So like the way your something works down in there, like it closes up and then your heart stops. And then your heart's like hey, what the hell? Why'd we stop? And then it recesses itself.
Oh, wow.
And I did it. So apparently I did it like 100 times. And then after 100 times, they wake you up and then they put you on a breathing tube. And that's the worst freaking thing ever. So I did that.
You don't have to get high score in that. You know that, right? Why you're overachieving.
Yeah. And so then I did that, and then I did the physical test where you run on the treadmill and you breathe and all that stuff. And then I did all the other stuff, and I'm like, okay, I got all this done. So it cost me like $2,000 to do all that. And then so I was like, okay, I'm in it. Like, let's go. And then I get back up into the doctor's office, and the doctor's office is like, yeah, so Blue Cross Blue Shield is, they want you to lose weight for a month, for a year, and then we'll reassess the situation. And I was like, wait, what do you mean for a year? I said, like, why did I just spend $2,000 to do all this stuff, and you're telling me that I got to do what I've been doing for 5 years? So they were like, well, well, let's write a letter, and then we'll send it in and see what we can do. And I'm like, okay. So like we write a letter, me and my doctor, and they're like, oh, this is not good enough, rewrite it. And I'm like, okay, so what does it need to say? And they wouldn't tell us. So we wrote it again, and then they send it back. And then I was like, and they were like, no, this isn't good enough. And I'm like, what does it need to say? Like, we'll send them my charts that shows that like my weight loss was like this, a roller coaster. I'm like, what do we need to do? And so we send it again, and then they approve it, right? So then I'm like, okay, so I get the surgery. It's laparoscopic, so I was in there for like 3 hours, super easy. There's like 9 little incisions. You can't even see them anymore. They're totally gone. And it took me I was out of work for a week and a half, and then I was back to work. Like, you couldn't physically do stuff, but I mean, I was a manager. I was just running crews. And so it was more or less like walking and, pencil pushing and stuff like that. Not like I wasn't picking up fertilizer bags or anything like that. But it was pretty easy. And then so after I got the surgery, that next week, I got a letter from Blue Cross Blue Shield denying my surgery. So I'm like freaking out. Yeah. So I'm like freaking out. I call my dad and I'm like, Dad, like, they can't give me my stomach back. Like, it's already happened. Like, I was like, I can't afford, I mean, because the surgery itself is like, I think it's like 80 grand, right? And your insurance covers, I mean, it pretty much covered all of it. I paid $5,000 out of pocket to do the whole everything. Like, that was my max out of pocket was $5,000, but the whole surgery is like 80 grand. And I was telling my dad, I was like, Dad, like, we're gonna have to sell the house. I'm gonna have to move back home. Like, I don't know. I work for a landscape company, 80 grand. I mean, that's a lot. Like, that ain't happening. And he's like, no, we're fine. He's like, don't worry about it. So then we called them, and it took them 4 weeks to get back to me and tell me that it was a clerical error.
Yeah, dude, I can only imagine the up and down that was.
I lost it. I lost it, man. And then on top of that, after you have the surgery, you go like, I can't eat. So you're not hungry. You're literally drinking liquid protein, which is disgusting. Like, I couldn't drink the milkshake. I had to drink the clear protein. Oh God, dude, it is horrible. And then once I got to where I could drink the protein, like flavored protein shakes, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then I graduated from there to basically you had to relearn how to eat. So like I would eat, scrambled eggs, and then from scrambled eggs to like tuna, to starting adding soft vegetables, and then basically being a baby and, working your way up to where you can finally eat stuff. And now I can pretty much eat anything within moderation. Like, if I eat steak's the hardest thing to eat. And if I eat steak, I just have to cut it up into really, really small pieces and make sure I really, really chew on it. And then I struggle with spicy. About as hot as I can get now is sriracha. That's about as hot as I can go. But I know I like buffalo. Buffalo sauce is my favorite. So as long as I can eat buffalo, I'm good. But like, some jalapenos are too hot. And basically what happens is like, imagine like if you're like your esophagus where the right before the food goes in or whatever, like it just squeezes so tight that it just sits there for like 30 minutes. Like your fist is squeezing that tight and it does not go away. And it looks like I'm about to throw up. Like I get like really weak. I don't start talking. Like I stop talking, which is rare for me. And like, and everybody's like, are you okay? And I'm just like, I just go like this. I'm just like, leave me alone. You know, it's like, cause it's hard to talk. It's in so much pain. And like me being as big as I was, like I was a shoveler. So I would just like, you know, and now it's like when I get in front of food, I literally have to like take a bite, put the fork down. I need to talk to you and then bring it back up and then do it again. Because like if I just go like if I have to wait for food and then the food comes out and I'm like, oh my God, looks so good. And then I go into shop, like I'll eat like 6 bites and I'll be done. Like I can't even eat anymore because it'll be 30 minutes of like the fist of fury is what I call it. Where I can't even eat. And I mean, it's awful. Other than that, perfect. Would do it 110, 100% would do it again if I had to. Not going to, but if I had to.
So, was there a lot of pain for the surgery, or was that?
Yeah, the first I'd say the first 3 days were the worst. I ended up having to stay in the hospital an extra day than normal. But I think it was just because like just you would wake up and you could feel all the like just pain in my stomach from that. Because in theory they remove, so your stomach is the size of a football, right? Now mine is the size of a little bit bigger than a banana. Like, so they almost removed like 2/3 of my stomach, or they did remove 2/3 of my stomach.
Wow.
And then they have to reroute the large intestine a little bit, but that's pretty much it. They basically do that. So I had this surgery. It's called the DS. It's called the duodenal switch. And there's two of them. So they have the Rho and Y, and then they have the DS. And the difference is one is the large intestine is routed a little different than the Rho and Y, which the Rho and Y is the original bypass surgery, and this one is the new and improved bypass surgery. The only difference between the two is how they route it. And then what they actually found out is my surgery, this TMI, my surgery makes you basically pass it lower, and the R and Y will actually make you throw up more. So it kind of, instead of making you throw up, it makes you push it down.
I got you.
But yeah, and then some, like I struggle with sugar, so if I eat a lot of sugar, it's like striking distance. Like we got to go.
Wow.
Yeah. So mainly milkshakes are the worst, and Chick-fil-A milkshakes kill me. So which sucks because I love Chick-fil-A milkshakes.
They're so good though, man. Sometimes you just make those. You're like, I'm gonna roll the dice, dude.
Yeah, I've gotten better. I've gotten better at it. Like it used to be like I would eat the whole milkshake, and now it's like I just kind of eat like a quarter of it, and then I'm be like, okay, I got what I needed. Like, no, let's move on. And
bro, I'll get it all the way down, and then if I could flip the cup inside out, dude, that's how I would finish it.
Yeah, I've gotten, like I said, it's gotten better, but I know my limits, and it's pretty good. Other than that, the only other downfall is just like some, loose skin from like my arms and my belly. And depending on the day, it bothers me, and then some days it doesn't. And then I got that priced out, and the crappy part is the insurance won't help because they claim it's cosmetic, even though it's a part of the surgery. So like you have to pay full price. And when I priced it out, so like I can't just do like a tummy tuck, like when a woman has a pregnancy or whatever. I have to do an abdominal lift. So it's basically they'll cut all the way around from the back to the front, and then pull it down and take all that out. Otherwise, it won't get all of the skin around it, or it look really weird. But I mean, like I said, it just depends on the day. Like some days I'm like, it really bothers me. And then some days I'm like, I don't really care.
Bro, I don't know if you've felt it as you've gotten older. But I give less of a shit what people think as I've gotten older.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got their own issues. Everybody's got the things that they're challenged with. And, you know, I think there's people that love you no matter what, you know, so it is what it is, man.
Yeah. It's gotten, like I said, when I priced it out and then they told me it was like 15 grand, like the first thing that popped in my head was like, oh man, I can buy a Corvette for 15 grand. Like, why would
Right.
I spend 15? I was like, I can buy so much more cool stuff with 15 grand than this. And I looked at my belly and I was like, nah, I'd be all right.
Yeah, that sounds pretty expensive. I mean, but you could get it done and probably go straight into male dancing and then make it back really quick.
It's possible. Yeah. It's 100% possible. And I'd already come up with like a stripper name too. Like I wouldn't use hot sauce. I would use I was gonna be white lavender, like Robin Big. Like Biggs was black lavender. I was gonna be white lavender.
Nice. Did you ever establish a porn name with your the internet? You know, trying to figure all that.
Yeah. So mine is actually phenomenal. So it is Dawn Sugarwood.
Yes.
That's amazing. So our first dog, my first dog, his name was Don, and then the address we lived on was 202 Sugarwood Court. Like you couldn't ask for a better name. That's amazing.
So if I did that with the first pet and street name, mine would be Smoky Embers, which is dope. But sounds more like a jazz. But if I was going to pick mine, I would go with Kirk Dangle, a lot like the wrestler Kurt Angle, but Kirk Dangle.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
But then you had Officer Dangle come out, and that kind of screwed it up.
Well, I mean, you could wear the short shorts and run that side too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm drinking on right now, man, have you ever had this?
No, I don't do any whiskey.
So that is Conor McGregor's new whiskey.
Is it pretty good?
Irish whiskey. So let me tell you a story about Proper 12 and my opinion of it.
Okay.
It's smooth. It's great. Tastes really, there's not a whole lot of going on with it, but when you drink it, you're like, this isn't bad for whiskey. You know, whiskey is usually pretty harsh. And then I have a bottle of Booker's downstairs, and Booker's tasted pretty hefty. You know, like they say that it tastes chewy.
Yeah.
I didn't really get that the first time. I was like, man, this is some hefty bourbon right here. But after drinking Proper 12, it made the Booker's taste amazing.
Okay.
So when you get those wine snobs that are like, I taste the cork and blah, 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 and all the whatever, the grapes, you can actually significantly taste the notes that are different in a really good or decent bourbon after drinking this. This right here, if I had to characterize it as a whiskey, it's like the Bud Light or Natural Light of whiskey.
Okay.
So it is whiskey by trade and by name, but it's the lightest version of it. It's got the color and a hint of the taste, but I've got to kill it sometime, you know? So I usually one here. So it's definitely worth checking out if you're not a whiskey guy, but if you wanted to get something that's not so overpowering, it's I would say it's a day whiskey.
I'm pretty simple. So I usually drink ultras. I drink a lot of ultras, and then if I drink liquor, I love vodka. That's my favorite. I've always been a big vodka guy. Like I make this. I got on that new transfusion kick, the Barstool Sports. It's like a grape juice, ginger ale, and then you add vodka to it. It's delicious. And then every once in a while, I'll, ain't no laws, drinking the claws. I'll get on some of those in the summer. And then what else? I think that's pretty much it, man. I drink a lot of, if I drink liquor, it's mainly vodka because I like that. Like when we're playing golf, I'll drink like a screwdriver in the morning. There's nothing like, orange juice and Tito's right out the gate, man. It'll get you swinging real good.
Right. Tito's is good. We used to play golf, we would shotgun a beer per hole. And hole number 1 and 2, you're just getting warmed up anyway. Hole number 3, 4, and 5 are great. After that, you might as well just stop driving the cart anywhere. But that was the extent. We couldn't play golf very well, so we started drinking because we could do that fairly decently. and
Yeah.
we just started being kicked off of courses.
Once you said that, the only other downfall to this surgery is carbonation. I can't shotgun a beer no more. It's too much. It's so
I
much
bet.
carbonation going down my throat. I mean, so even it's so in the winter, this makes no sense. I still haven't figured it out. In the winter, I have a hard time drinking beer. Like you could drink 2 beers to me drinking one. In the summer, no problem. Like I'll be on the boat. I can drink 5, 6 beers, no problem. And then the winter, it would take me all day to drink 5 beers.
Yeah, I usually drink a beer or two. I don't drink
Yeah,
very much, period. So I've got quite a few bourbons and whiskeys in the cabinet.
yeah, yeah.
And if I drink at the rate that I'm going now, and I only do it by myself, if friends don't come over and drink it with me, it will be here when Jesus comes back.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I might, we go. I drink more in the summer for sure. Like me and Johnny will get on the boat. We'll buy a 12, 18 pack, and as soon as I get to the lake, I'll like pop one, and I'll drink maybe 3 or 4, stuff like that. And when we play golf, I might have 1 or 2, but it's not like I drink every day. But it's just kind of
Oh,
that,
yeah.
you have 1 or 2 here and there. It just makes you feel better. Like, oh my God, I need this. Kind of
Oh,
that kind of deal.
I dig it, man. I don't hold it against anybody unless it's
Yeah.
somebody's drinking heavily and beating their kids or something.
Yeah, no, no. The only thing I'm beating is golf ball.
Man, I had me and my buddies used to play, and Joe, he would go with us. He was terrible at golf. So halfway through any round, he would end up in the woods like a kid on an Easter egg hunt, just collecting balls he would find.
Yeah, yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Johnny's
was
like that. If he hits one into the woods, like he hates losing balls, so he'll just like straight up go in there and try to find it, and then he'll come back out with like 6. He's like, "Oh, I got these," and I'm like, I'll hit one in there, and I'll be like, you know what? I wasn't meant to have that ball. If it's like deep in there, I'm like, it's all right, whatever.
dude. I couldn't finish around without a whole sleeve being used. So
Oh yeah, it depends
I
on the
get.
day for me. Depends on the day for me.
You play quite a bit, so I'm sure your mid game's probably pretty solid.
Mhm.
I had no mid game. I had a long game. I could crush the ball, but if I didn't make it to the green, it was a tennis match. It was
Yeah,
one side
yeah,
to the other, and I could
yeah.
putt okay, but it was pretty terrible.
Yeah, I lost it after I lost weight, and I had to relearn how to play. And so now the problem is I'm trying to I got a guy that's helping me. My new boss's husband is really good. Like he's basically a +1 handicap. So if I'm a -12, he's a +1. Like if he shot a 72, he would have to turn in a score of 73. Like he has to give us a shot when he plays.
Oh wow.
And so he's been helping me get down, and I've gotten a lot better. But my short game, I practice in the living room. I got a little net that I chip into, and like it's made a huge difference, like chipping off the carpet and stuff like that. And then now it's just a matter of like, I used to be like John Daly, so I'd take the club super far back, and I don't need to. So now I'm like trying to learn how to stop and then correct old habits I did since I was like 15.
I came from playing baseball, so I had the baseball swing that I
Yeah,
had to get
yeah,
out of. It was so
yeah,
hard.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's probably why you hit it a mile too. You being really tall and then having that, that fast swing. I'm sure you did hit it a freaking mile.
But if I just shanked it real bad, it's really far in the wrong direction. Not
Yeah.
good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Right now I'm finally getting to where I can eliminate a side, but it took about 2 years where I could hit it dead left, or I could push it right, or I could hit it straight. So it was like I got up to the tee box and I had no idea where it was going. And then now I'm finally basically I'm getting everything to go to the right, which I'm fine with, because then that takes out the left side, which is good. So once you eliminate one side, then you
Right.
can play golf. Yeah, yeah.
So, uh, which did you find harder, wakeboarding or golfing?
Wakeboarding, 100%.
Harder?
So yeah, wakeboarding is way harder for me. So, and it's all mental. Because like still to this day, I've been riding since 2000. I want to say I started in '09. Yes. It was either late '09 or 2010s when I started, and I still can't do inverts. Like I'm still so scared to do them. I've given up. Like I'm just like I don't care. So and then riddle me this, you'll love this. I can do backside 180s, no problem. Switch and regular, but I can't do an invert.
Are you taking them to the flats, or are you dropping them on the downside of the other wake?
Like not even making it across the wakes.
Yeah.
Like I get up like a 3/4 and then that's it. Like I let go. I instantly let go with this hand when I try to do a back roll. When I try to do tantrums, I stall out. Like I can't wrap my head around to doing it. And Johnny gets so mad at me. He's like, dude, he's like, you're like, I can do it. Like, I know I can do it. Like, I have the perfect cut. Like, I'm there. And it's like, when it comes time to do it, like, I just freeze. I mentally freeze.
Yeah. So your invert attempts on a wakeboard is like Charles Barkley's drive in golf.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
100%.
totally mentally just messes you up.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, just insane. Like I'd rather spin, but I struggle doing heel side, front side spins. But I can do a toe side 360. I can do a heel side backside 180, and I can do a switch backside 180. And I'm not even scared to throw. But when it comes to an invert, can't do
it. I will tell you that a backside 3 or even a front side 3, either one, hillside, they're totally not. I don't like them, not at all. I would rather do that in the middle of an invert than just do a flat, non-inverted spin.
So when I do front threes, I can never get past 270. I always eat it. Like I could never get the handle. I couldn't figure out where to get it there to make me get to the handle. Like every time, like I'd get to like just a little bit over 180 and then I'd be done every time. Now I haven't tried a backside 3, but I feel like that's the 3 heel side wake to wake that I can get. But I ain't gonna lie to you, doing a hillside backside 180 is probably the coolest trick to me ever. Like if I could keep that trick, I could care less if I did an invert. Now women love Rayleighs and flips and all, and they could care less about a backside 180, but that's my favorite trick, like by far. When you land blind, when you land blind and you're not looking at the boat, man, that's the smoothest feeling in the world, dude.
That's a rider trick. That's one of those tricks. If you're a rider, you understand. If you do it right and you do it smooth, it looks so simple, but there's so much going on with what you're thinking and handle placement that's not natural. And to see guys do it like, just out of crazy like tricks, like 5 inverts with the 540 rotation landing blind, insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I never had the skill.
Yeah. I was, and then I've never been one to like try to take anything to the flats either. Like I just wake to wake, super simple. My biggest thing was just like trying to go up as high as I could and then grabbing and then trying like shifties and stuff like that. And that was it. I'm working on right now. It's toe. So it would be a toe side front hand. Is either stalefish or melon. So if you're going in toe side and I'm holding the handle with my, like if you were to do a toe 180, you would land like that. Mm-hmm. I'm taking my front hand off and grabbing like stalefish. And it is the craziest feeling and it looks really cool. But it's so weird. Like you have to be so flat. Otherwise you're getting like tilted all different ways.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I want to see that when you get it, down. Shoot me a video. I'd love to check it out. Or we'll ride sometime this summer.
Yeah, anytime you want to come out, you definitely can ride with me. We got the weight dialed pretty good, so if you want to go to the moon like you did, you definitely can.
My knees can't handle it anymore. We took a 23 LSV out a few years ago, and we had 10 people in it, fully sacked out. And I was like, hey, you know me, I would check the wake by doing a Rayleigh. That was
100%. That was coming out the gate.
That's how I checked the wake. I could do every one of my tricks based on how that Rayleigh felt. I cranked that bad boy. I landed 30 feet out in the flats, and it felt like I jumped off of a 2-story building. And
Oh,
I butt checked and stood up and butt checked and slid around and then stood up. And I was like, I don't know if I'm young enough to do this anymore.
yeah, yeah. That's like Johnny's weight check is a back roll. Like he like straight out the gate, hillside back roll. And I'm starting to make the backside. We started this thing last year where we're doing weight check backside 180 right out the gate, like just straight into it, backside 180. And some days I get it and some days I don't. But it is cool to just like first trick, just do it right out the gate.
Oh yeah. I mean, just go ahead and come out strong, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I used to
Then
finish
after that, it's just fashion airs, all fashion airs.
all fashion, occasionally throw a little method type grab in there.
Yeah.
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 No. Watching you ride, I guess was the first time that we met when we were both riding for Overton's
Yes.
at
Yeah.
one INT tournaments.
It was probably the one at the Grand
Grand
Mebane where they have they had the little catfish buoys or the feeder buoys or whatever. That
Yeah,
place was perfect for a tournament.
yeah, they redesigned the pier, and the pier sticks
Okay.
out further now, and they don't
Yeah.
allow skiing on that side. That's where I ride every weekend.
Yeah.
I don't ride on that side. There's a ski section around on the horseshoe.
Okay.
But no one's ever out there on the weekends. So
Yeah.
now that I say that, and if anybody hears this, they might be migrating. But for the most part, there's a little weird dog leg in the
Yeah.
middle, kind of a hiccup. But you could get one solid tournament pass before you make your turn.
Right.
But it's just you don't have to deal with all the traffic, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And the girls are riding now, and just teaching them, and everybody
Yeah.
getting out having fun. That whole
Yeah.
pissing contest, once you get into your 40s, just doesn't really seem to be that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah. I got to where I can progress further in golf, and that's why I've been and with my new job, it's like wakeboarding doesn't get me anywhere. Whereas like if I take customers to play and I play good, then they're more enticed to being like, and I like that guy. He was fun. He's good at golf. Maybe I'll work with him, and that kind of deal. And so now I'm still riding. Shoot, we probably ride. We're now starting to get fired back up, but we probably ride, at least 3 times a week.
Wow, man, that's impressive. I think we put 25 hours on a boat last year.
Yeah.
And that was split between 2 boats because the demo boat sold and then the new demo boat sold. Barely enough to get the first service in.
Yeah, we did. Well, me and Johnny, we just go 5:30 right after work, ride till dark, and then, kind of float around, drink beer and hang out. It's not a bad life.
Nah, man, there's things that could be way worse,
Yeah. Yeah. And so Johnny bought that boat in 2018 and we have over 800 hours on it already.
That's getting used, son. That's
Yeah.
good. I love seeing
Yeah.
that because I know people are having fun on it.
Oh yeah, no, and we're always bringing people out to try it, and like me and Johnny like push hard to get people to come try it, surfing, wakeboarding, and we have a 99.9% success rate of getting people up, and we've only had one person get up, and it's hilarious because we play golf with him too. We give him so much crap because he's like an extremely good golfer. And he played baseball. He was a walk-on for baseball at like Methodist or Mount Olive, and then he quit playing baseball, and then he became a walk-on for basketball. Like he's just one of those guys that's just gifted, right? Can't get up on a wakeboard. Can't do it.
Wow, I'm running a similar success rate, but I get you. There's a couple guys I've tried to teach, and they're just not getting it. They won't get it. Yeah. Every attempt at trying to figure out their problem, I can't solve it, and I have no idea. And it's so frustrating.
And the best is like when the girls are like so scared that they're not going to get it, and they pop right up every time. I'm like, dude, oh, you're a girl, you'll be fine. And they're like, nah. And they're like, literally, it's like, here you go.
Yep.
And then you got that guy that's on the boat that's been like, can't even get up. And I'm like, dude, like, you know.
I think girls have less of a issue than guys do because they already understand that most likely they're not going to muscle their way up, so they finesse their way up.
Yeah. Yes.
and plus their center of gravity is in their hips, where ours is in our chest.
Yeah. Yeah.
We try to fight it, and you're not gonna win that tug of war with a boat,
No, never. And that's what we tell them. And then they're like, "Oh, I'm too big." And I was like, "Bro, I was 352 pounds getting up." I'm like, "No, you're not too big." And they're like, "No, man." I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Yeah."
So yeah, the first time I met you was at that tournament, and Kevin didn't really tell me who else was on the team, and I had come out of just not riding in a long time. Me and Chris Crutchfield started riding again because I moved to Greenville. I was working with Monster Energy at the time, and he and I started riding because he lived in Greenville. And
because I remember you had the Monster Energy van. I remember that.
Yeah.
Or it's like you had a black Chevy van. Wasn't it R.H. Behringer or something like? Or no,
R.A. Jeffries.
R.A. Jeffries. That's it. Yep. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was in Wilmington, I worked directly for Monster, and then I took a job as a brand manager for the Greenville distributor.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a unique experience. And then I got, Kevin helped me get out of that situation and offered me the job at Overton's in Raleigh. So I could
I remember that.
And shifted that way. And, that was I'm glad he looked out for me on that one. It helped me get out of the situation where I was working 60 plus hours a week. And when you start, I actually figured out how much I was making per hour, and it pissed me off so bad. I started looking for a job immediately.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how it can be like that sometimes.
I've never worked a job that was salary that ended up me working the hours that I thought I was going to work. They're always more. They always try to screw you out of bonuses and pay, and I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty stoked now. I mean, if I sell more boats, then I make more money. That's fine.
Yeah.
Tie it to my performance, and I'll be fine.
Yeah. And that's cool. Like, so this is my first sales job, and it's like when you do everything that you're supposed to do and you meet the quotas and stuff like that, they're just like, they push it on you. Like, here you go. Thanks. Keep it up. Do more. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds great.
And you get in the groove and you figure it out, and it just gets easier.
Yeah, I'm in that spot now where I finally figured it out. And so after September, after July, it'll be like the icing on the cake will be like a full year of signing up how many people I'm supposed to sign up every month for like a year straight. So it should be like I should be exceeding the goal like every month now, like no problem.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna be really good for me on that part,
Man, I like you, and I think almost most people like you. You're like the most likable individual I've ever met in water sports, and I've been in water sports competitively since 93.
Yeah.
94. And I mean, I've met a lot of great people. I've got a lot of great friends from it, just all over the country, and it's awesome. It's such a great brotherhood. And when we jumped in it in the 90s, we thought it was huge, and it was a lot bigger then. A lot of people came out to tournaments, you traveled, there was a group of dudes, and that's faded out. And I hate that you didn't get to be part of that at that time.
Yeah.
Because it was awesome. And the coolest thing was you didn't have to be nearly as good as you have to be now.
Right.
Now these kids, insane, man.
Yeah.
All these kids, like their intermediate runs are video level stuff from like 96, 97.
Oh yeah, no, it's crazy. It's like, and that was the big turning point for me on why I never competed. Like I competed hard when I first started, when we were doing that stuff back then, at INT, because like, I was doing 180s and I would land one, would not. And then like I got to a point where it was like I wasn't doing inverts and I wasn't doing threes. So there was no point to like bump up. And then I was like, I'm not gonna ride against a 10-year-old kid and take a trophy from him. Like, because I mean, in all reality at the time, it was like, yeah, I could do like 4 or 5 different 180s and grabs and toe side, wake side jumps, but like, I'm good, but I'm not great. Like, there's no point in me doing that. And then it was just more or less like, let's just have fun. let's just get more people to ride. That was my whole turning point for me. And then like even Johnny to this day, like Johnny still goes and competes in the the masters divisions, and he's got 3-4 inverts. He can do threes and stuff like that. So I'm like, whatever. Yeah. He's like, well, come compete. And I'm like, who you want me to ride against? Like, I'm not going to, I'd hate to beat a 12-year-old kid because I did a backside 180.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to do that.
Me and Crutchfield, when we were both on the team, we both basically came out of our obscure retirement from even riding. I think when Chris quit riding competitively, he was still riding for a hydroslide, knee and wakeboard, and I was riding for HO and Hyperlight at the same time. So we had split. We were riding together, but riding for two different companies. I think Todd, his twin brother, was getting a little bit of flow from HO. But Chris was riding that weird parabolic hydroslide. Do you remember that thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he would crush it on it. And so I would beat Chris kneeboarding quite a bit. And the one time that dude beat me at nationals, he lets me know it to this day. The one time out of the 30 times he rubs it in. It's awesome because he's a great rider. He just didn't compete as well in that. So he really focused on wakeboarding. And I think he threw down something like 16 inverts in one of the free ride comps. I mean, because he was just bam, 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 air rolls, every variation switch. He was just killing it. And there's no way I can beat that dude. But when we came out of retirement and we're riding the Masters division, I'm only riding against him. He's riding against me. And for him to, screw up and me beat him, I know he's a much better wakeboarder than I am. He's got way more skill. He's way more diverse with his trick selection. Beat him in competition. I loved giving him heck about it, but man, dude's like that dude's like a brother to me. If it wasn't for him and his brother Todd and a few other friends growing up and us pushing each other, we would have never done anything with it.
Yeah.
But we got in far enough to where we just pushed one another and tried to one up each other.
Yeah.
And, pretty much we had most of the tricks figured out through the 90s.
Yeah.
But, that's neither really here nor there, but it was fun. And that was we would travel. We would get in the boat and travel to a new lake on the weekend just to go shred a new lake.
Right. Yeah.
You cannot pay me to do that now. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. I went to a boat show and I walked by the Mastercraft section and saw a video of Rusty Malinowski wakeboarding. And this was when I was like 300 pounds. And I was like, if this dude can wakeboard, because I grew up surfing. I'm from Onslow County. So I grew up in Surf City and I always longboarded. And I was like, man, I got balance. That's why I said, I got balance. I can get up, we'll do this. So I went to Overton's, bought a wakeboard, and then saw Chris Hoff had a flyer to teach lessons. And him and Garrett Siebert got me up in 5 tries and then hooked from there. And then we went to my first INT tournament, and then I met my friend Graham Knopp. And then I started riding with Graham at Harris Lake. And then I met Graham, Cross, and Johnny. And then I always had a boat to ride on. There was never an issue.
Is Graham riding?
Yeah, so he's working a lot. He's still got his boat. I get him out 3 or 4 times a year with us. He just had he's got 2 kids now. And they're getting to the point where they're just old enough to start taking them on the boat. So he's about to start fired back up. But yeah, no, we brought him out last year. First set last year, he goes out, toe 3, heel 3, starts doing bat wing and sticks rolled a blind right out the gate. Like I hadn't rode in a year and rolled a blind right out the gate, first one. And then he did it again and took a back edge of death. But and funny story about Graham, we were riding one day and Johnny was working on switch toe side, trying to go switch toe side weight to weight. It's the craziest thing ever. Like,
dude, that's so hard, man.
It's so hard. And we all work on it. And Graham comes out there and And which, I mean, I've been blessed to ride with some good guys. Like I had Mark Regala live with me and watching him ride, and then Graham and Mark pushed each other. It was insane watching them ride together. And then
interrupt you there for a second. Watching Mark ride, that's the most versatile like stance guy I've ever seen. Like he rides.
No, but you don't know what position he rides.
Exactly. No. You don't know if he switched regular.
Yeah, no, it's and so the one day we were riding and we were working on switch toe side, Graham's like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. So he tries it and he falls, and we're like, yes, Graham is human, right? And then he comes in again, and instead of just doing a switch toe side weight way, he does switch toe 3 and sticks it. And then he's like, he figured it out, and then he did it like the second hit, and we're just like, we hate you, just don't come back out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, riding with, living with Mark and riding with Mark, like, oh man, 2000, I'd say 2000, I think 14, 15, and 16 was my favorite years to ride, because Mark was pushing his riding and I was filming. Like I love filming. That's the great, like I can't edit for nothing, but you put me on a lens. Like Brad gave me an $8,000 camera, and I've filmed. Like I could log all day. I loved watching Mark ride, and I got really, really good at filming, like picking different angles, like how to do the shots right, and like I was all about it. And then we would unload it on Brad Holland, and Brad would make the edits just like that. And every year.
Does he still have that camera?
Yeah, it's in my room. I have it.
Wow, that's a good piece of equipment that still holds up pretty well.
Yeah, no, every time. So Mark is talking a mad game that he is coming out of retirement and that we're going to make it edit this year. And he has been talking mad game like he is going to do it. So I told him, I said, cameras at my house. Because I mean, I would literally drop everything that I'm doing to film Mark. Like I love his riding and I love filming that much. Like that's like if I had someone to film that we could make edits with, like 100%, like I would totally do it. And we're gonna go to Morgan's Park, film there, and we're gonna ride, and then we're gonna do boat here, and then just do another, we might do a friends mix where I might actually get a part now that I have a backside 180 and I feel okay with that. Maybe if I get a backside 180 and if I can get my hill backside 180 and then switch hill and then a toe 3, I'd feel pretty cool with like a little 30-second, like, here's hot sauce.
Bro, you throw that funky grab you're talking about, I think you'll be good to go.
Yeah, it's so crazy looking, and it's so crazy feeling. Like I really like it.
There was so we used to snowboard quite a bit. And we would compete snowboarding in the late 90s. I was picked up by Hyperlight, so I was riding those weird one-off Hyperlight snowboards that didn't really they couldn't really figure out the best quality, I guess, because the first boards were way too stiff.
Right.
And then the third year I rode, they were so noodly, it was ridiculous. And there was a weird grab that I did, and my body doesn't even bend that way. But if you did a shifty backside and you grab the toe side rail across the front side of your body in front of your back foot, I don't know what it's called. I did it a few times back in the day, but there's no way I can bend that way now.
Yeah. Is that a Japan Air?
No, it's way different. It's a toe side grab
over. Oh so no.
It's I would have to almost draw it. I don't even think I could put it in the position, my body in that position to show you what it looks like.
No, I struggle with. I've been trying to do method. That's a really goal that I would like to get. But like I have a hard time doing. I'll get stale fish, but I end up always grabbing roast beef. So I work on stale fish and melon. And then my new favorite grab is, which I go back and forth on what you call it. I've told it's been called crail, but it's toe side. So left hand's holding onto the rope, going toe side, and I grab the nose of the board. So I call it toe nose, but I think it's called crail.
So your crow grab. So if you were doing a tantrum, your backhand is on the rail in front of your front foot. So you've got a cross grab.
No, I'm grabbing top. I'm definitely grabbing the nose, like center of the nose with my right hand. So
So Kobe Mikasic used to have one of the nastiest crail tantrums, and he would do that. It was like a weird cross grab, and it was that dude. Looking back on his body of work riding, he's awesome, especially for a taller guy. He's about 6 foot or so.
Yeah.
And he's looking back, how technical they rode in the 90s. He still rides. Those are great.
No, as far as I know, he still rips really good too.
Yeah, he and Tara have their school and whatnot, and Kobe's maybe a genius of some sort because that dude's inventing new stuff every other week, it seems.
Yeah,
and like really solid products.
I haven't tried his drop and fill thing yet, but it looks like it works pretty solid.
Yeah, it keeps you from spilling it all over the place. It's pretty basic design.
And the cover thing is ingenious.
Yeah, the hang tight.
Yeah, the hang tight is ingenious. I love ours.
Yeah, it definitely keeps you from getting too much pulling on your boat cover.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's getting to see those people because they're Malibu and Axis riders. So they're at the bigger events and things. And I know my buddy, I'm not gonna mention his name because I don't know if he wants it out there, but he's been taking his daughter to Tara out, when they go to Disney World occasionally.
Yeah.
They've got an Axis. She's 10, and he sent me footage. She's 90% of the way of landing her first back roll.
Oh, yeah, 10. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
So she's been riding down at Freedom, and then she's been riding at Elevated. She's been cable anywhere she can ride cable. She's been burning it up and trying to get ramps and whatnot. So
that's cool. I may have seen her at Elevated. I don't go as much, but they're like 10-year-olds. You see 10-year-olds ride and you get pretty stoked on it. Just to see them do full laps and not die.
So the first time I rode Morgan's cable, it spins clockwise.
Yeah.
And I'm goofy foot. So now
it spins the good way for me. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know now. I understand why you guys didn't. It was different riding on the other cables.
Oh yeah, Hex was fun, but it would wear you out if you were opposite riding for sure.
I felt like a beginner, and I was riding with my buddy, and of course we're older, out of shape dudes relative to what we used to do. We used to do all kinds of stuff, and riding that direction just messed me up so bad.
Yeah,
I was embarrassed. I was really embarrassed.
I loved it because now it was instead of doing a switch press in the corners, I can just do, and I still ride. I would ride the slingshot on the cable and I would just stay in a press, the whole corner, just like a big old nose press or tail press. I loved it. That's my favorite. I'll go out there and Morgan be like, "What are you doing?" Just pressing corners, just pressing the corners, man. Just ride. Yep.
I fell on the A-frame on the backside, which is the furthest point away.
Oh yeah.
I ollied onto that thing and I was like, okay, this is going not so good right now. Oh my gosh. I was on my back probably the first 15% of it and rode the entire thing on my back with the board straight up in the air.
Oh yeah.
Thinking I could pull it off and couldn't. The walk of shame, man. That was.
Oh yeah. Well, it's still better. It's still a shorter walk of shame than falling on the box at Hexagon.
Facts. That was forever.
Yeah.
You had to walk the beach.
You swim for a quarter mile and then walk to get back to the dock is what it felt like to me. Always.
Tired by the time I got back.
Yeah. And then you always felt doing something stupid, like a 360 spin, or you were just doing something, just so dumb. And you're like, I just fell on the box.
Yeah. You actually at Hexagon, you even got it on camera. You witnessed something I've done behind the boat quite a few times, but I never even threw it off of a kicker. You actually filmed me doing the whirly bird off of that medium kicker.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. Just look back and point it at you like I've done it 1,000 times, but man, that surprised the crap out of me.
Yeah. No, that was, I do remember filming that. That would be, if I could ever do the trick, I would love to do that big a big rally like Stephen Griffin did, and he would not Stephen Griffin, Stephen Pierce did when he would do a rally and he'd point at the crowd. Like if I could ever do that, that would be like when you're showboating past somebody, just do a big old rally and just be like pointing at them in the boat. That would be the only trick. But I would never hear the end of it from Mark and everybody for doing it. But it would be the greatest trick ever.
Are they anti-rally in the boat?
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
That transition of people hating Rayleighs started in the late 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And dude, I love Rayleighs. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to do Rayleighs to my heart's content, you know, because it's scary. And mostly the reason people hate them is they are dangerous to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
They will hurt you. You earn it more than you learn it.
Yeah.
So it's the easiest,
I know.
World, but it will hurt you.
Yeah, I seen Russ Anderson get broke off trying them. I've seen Graham get broke off doing them, and I think if I ever did it, that would be like I'd have to do like the point, like I'd have to figure out how to do that. That's probably like a go-to. So I do want to try some not glides, but like I do want to learn how to do bat wing. And I'd love to learn how to do, like Mark does this switch off axis, like melon glide 180 weight to weight that I really like. I'd love to learn how to do that, but I can't figure out how to get my hips to go back or whatever. Like he's like, you just gotta get your hips to go back. I'm like, okay, well that's not like, I don't understand what you mean by that.
Yeah. Oh man. Have you seen, did any of the guys in your boat, did they do 911s, or have you seen that trick a lot?
Yeah, I've seen, nobody in the boat does it now, but Byron Johnson used to do it a lot when he'd come ride with us.
I used to do that trick and I never fell on it. I've only fallen on that trick once, and I don't do it anymore because of that one fall. It is right. Me and Chris were out and he was in the tube. We were going to do some shots, from the tube. And I just learned that trick, maybe a couple months before, and I was getting pretty decent at it. I could really hang it over and look back and have all the control I needed.
Yeah.
And I pulled in a little too hard and caught that backside edge, like 25 feet out in the flats on the Byerly Dragonfly, which has that super sharp edge.
Yeah.
And it snapped my neck and I could not feel anything from my chin to my toes.
Ooh.
I couldn't move. I thought I'd paralyze myself, and slowly everything came back. But I talked to a nurse shortly, maybe a few months afterwards, still having some neck pain. And she looked at it and she said, if I would have sneezed or turned my head too quickly, I possibly could have paralyzed myself in that first month after I did that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We just never went to the hospital, dude. We just hurt. And that's why we hurt every day now.
Yeah. Now, I agree. Like, I've taken some bad falls, but nothing, super bad. But I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't taken any really bad back edges on my backside 180s, but I've took some diggers trying 360s. I mean, some diggers. And, cause I'll just get stuck. Like I call them 245s. I'll just get stuck just over 180 and then just get straight up destroyed every time. And then my friends are like, you'll try those, but you won't try inverts. And I'm like, man, it's not scary. To me, it's not scary to spin.
Yeah. I stuck my first backside hillside 3. First one I ever tried, stuck it. And it has been a thorn in my side since that day.
Yeah.
Even toe side, front side 3s.
Yeah.
I stuck 10 the first day I learned them, and then I started trying 5s, and I haven't been able to really consistently land those toe side 3s.
Yeah. Since. That's what they say. They say if you go to the 5, it's hard to break them up after you do the 5, and they say the 5 is easier, but I'm just like, I just want the 3. Like, I just want to learn the toe 3, and I don't even care to do the 5. Like the toe 3, when you land the toe 3, it's the smoothest trick ever. Like I love the way a toe 3 looks.
The crew that we rode with back then we rode behind anything. So none
Mm.
of us had tournament boats. We all had runabouts. We all had crazy weight systems in them and whatnot. And there, you started seeing the split. Then one of the guys that rode with us, he was all into Scott Byerly, and hands down, he's the godfather. But
Yeah.
I'm coming from a kneeboarding background, which basically a lot of those guys were trick skiers. So that earlier wakeboarding had a really trick ski influence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why my style was a lot more that stand up tall, that Jeremy Kovac-esque
Yeah.
look back in the day.
Yeah.
And they used to rag on me. They said I didn't have any style or whatnot. And I'm like, I'm throwing a big nasty grab in my front, man, and I'm going huge. That's my style, son.
Yeah. That was my biggest thing is like, so for me, not doing inverts, I started working on like, like how I grab and like poking and shifting and like trying to do that stuff. So even if I was jumping, not being a hillside hero, jumping both sides of the wake and like, and it was then I was just trying to like clean my grabs up. Like, how can I make this, or how can I try to do this? To where like when I take a set and somebody like you that comes out was like, hey, Matt, Matt's pretty good. Like, yeah, I might not have done an invert or anything like that, but it was like, you were like, yeah, that's pretty smooth, or I like how you did that, or something. Like that was my whole goal of riding, is like when I got done riding, you were like, man, Matt's really smooth. Like that's what I wanted.
So I'm a little bit of an artist. I'm mediocre at it. I've went to school for it and all. But as I've gotten older, just because your art is not something I like, and I don't, it's not my style, it's not the thing I'm interested in, I still respect the fact that you put the thought and time and effort into creating that piece.
Yeah.
As I got older as a wakeboarder, I started to respect other people's riding a little better.
Yeah.
Even though it was something I didn't necessarily like, I know
Right.
the complexities of it, and I understand, and I think I want to see different riding. I don't want to see the
Yeah.
same dudes doing the same 30 tricks over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
I definitely agree with that.
Where do you think the sport goes from here, though?
I mean, I think we're at a good spot. A good spot. It's just a matter of how far like all those guys can push it. Like, you know, the double flips and all the big spins, and the weight keeps getting bigger. Like at some point, do we do the double flips, but they start grabbing them different ways and doing like double grabs? Do we get to triple flips past what Cody did? I don't know, man. I think at that point it's a matter of like who wants to die and get broke off trying it. Because I mean, Cody got broke off trying. I mean, you saw how big the kicker was.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, nobody in their right mind is gonna try to hit that kicker after he did it. Like, I honestly don't think anybody else is gonna try to do a triple flip. Like, I think Cody did it. It's done. Like, move on. Like, because I mean, that's just. I mean, you do that. I mean, you're wakeboarding. You do it wrong the one time, your wakeboarding career is done. Like, why would even some of the double? I mean, everybody's doing double flips is blowing knees. I mean, Harley, Dowdy, all those guys. Like, I mean, there's no way even doing the fitness that they're doing now, they're still hurting themselves. So
I think those pro riders are just riding for riders now.
yeah,
If you watch anybody who's just a casual fan of it, anything over a 360, any type of flip or any type of Rayleigh based trick, if you do any of those variations don't mean anything to them except for to other riders.
right,
And I think over the last 10 to 15 years, people aren't seeing any variation of new style. Now,
yeah,
to us knowing the sport and seeing how difficult some of the, the random grabs and those harder tricks, now riders are just riding for rider's sake. So the spectator aspect of it is gone.
yeah. I agree. Because like, to me, my top three riders or just say top five would be like Gunther Oka, and then you have Tyler Hyam, and then you have Masi Pufferetti, then you have Dowdy, and then you have Harley, right? And all five of them ride different styles.
Mm-hmm.
But of those five, those are my favorite ones to watch. But then you still have like you've got Graham Barres, right, who's on a whole nother level, and then you got Trevor Maurer, who's on a whole nother level. Like, and then you've got Twelker, and then you've got who's the other one? Derek, not Derek Grassman. I mean, the other West Side rider, and then Vandal shows up every now and then, right? And you're like, there's so many people, and it's like I honestly don't know where it's going to go. I mean, I know everybody's hooked on foiling right now, but I don't know about that either. I don't know how long that's going to last.
I don't know, man. It's, you're seeing a lot. You got new guys coming in, but no new guys that are making the Sean Watson, the Harley Clifford, the Bonifay impact on the sport. You're seeing guys that are super ridiculously talented beyond anything I can even comprehend, but they don't last very long.
Right. Yeah. I think I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Finn does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see that because of how he's progressing so quick and what he's doing. And he's learned, he's riding with Dowdy, and then he's got John, helping him too. Like, I'm excited to see, and now he's getting at that point to where he's like creating himself too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be a next level pusher because his snowboarding's unreal too.
Ridiculous.
So I'm very interested to see like what he's gonna do. Like, I really and because he's so multi across. Like, he's not just like good at boat, right? He's good at boat. He's good at rails, and then he takes it to snowboard. So he's like he does all three, and he does it all really well. Which is why I like Gunther the most. Is like Gunther's really good at rails, and then he's really good at boat. And then it's like, it's nice to have that one rider, those two or three riders that are like, they're either really good at rails and they're okay at boat, or they're really good at boat and they're okay at rails. And then you have that like two or three people that are just like, man, this is awesome. That's what I get stoked on. And I feel like Finn is going to be one of those guys.
He's got the perfect amount of ingredients to set that up. With his ability to ride, ability to travel, and to be at all those places, to do that, nothing really holding him back.
Yeah.
That's awesome. He has the resources to be one of the best.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And his mom, Paula, is, pushes him and supports him. And then, you got John. John is there, and he's always helping out, and he's doing stuff too. And it's cool to see, like, be a part of that. Like, we, going to Hex and seeing him when he was riding as a kid, and being a little punk and pushing him in the water and stuff like that. Like, seeing that, and then seeing how he evolved into what he is now it's really rad.
Speaking of kids that came up and killed it and, had some of the best careers, have you heard or seen Philip Soven, anything going on in his career?
No, so like every now and then I look on Instagram. He still has an Instagram, and I'm pretty sure he's a lawyer.
Hey, yeah, that's probably long term a little better.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a lawyer. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Bob is doing the same degree as well. If he's not doing a lawyer, it's something like PA school or something along that lines of that caliber of school. But Bob is still writing some and doing stuff with Mastercraft and Body Glove. But he hasn't posted a lot.
I've not talked to Phil. I've spent some time with Bob, and they seem like extremely different personalities.
Way different.
Do you think that came from Phil just getting ragged on for being the little dude that was shredding coming up through the pro rank?
I don't know, because like I came towards the end where everybody just hated him, and like I mean, but he was good. Like you know,
It was either him or Harley. There was nobody
yeah,
even on the same level.
yeah, and I mean, you know, I never hated him, but he was arrogant. I remember meeting him at Raleigh. He came to Raleigh for something. I don't know if it was a boat show or one of the liquid force ride demos, but I just remember him. He was just a prick, dude. And I was like, oh my God, like you're a pro, you get paid to wakeboard. Like, why are you even like that?
Yeah. I mean, you never know. I mean, that's first impressions. You don't get to spend time with somebody. So sometimes they're probably irritated with being hurt, not so much harassed, but just
Yeah.
not, you know, I wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
guess I don't know. I literally could talk to a wall. So I'm like, whatever. Like anytime I meet somebody, you know, I'm all about it. That's why like I went and I wrote a lot. You know, I became pretty good friends with like Jeff House and them. So when I went to my first ever surf expo, like I had the greatest time ever because went and rode with Jeff House, and he was riding with JD Webb. And I met JD Webb, Jeff House, Brenton Presley, and oh God, literally drawing a blank. Derek Graspin, and who was filming them? It's Wanderman Media. I can't remember his name to save my life right now. But we were filming, and they were like trying to play music, and I was like, I got a playlist, and you know, I put my playlist on, and it was so good and so perfect. And they were like, "Oh my God, Matt, this playlist is awesome!" And I thought I was the coolest guy ever
Right.
because all these professional wakeboarders, like they were riding, the wake was so big. And then like all I was doing was 180s and stuff. And they were like, man, dang, Matt, like you're getting like good air. And like, you know, you don't think to, and then they go out and ride and they're doing like back 5 7s. JD was trying to win trick of the year. So he was doing toe side double ups to do toe back 10s. And I'm watching him just send it. And he's like going up in the air and he gets off axis and he like pulls himself back down to land this crazy like toe back 7 because he couldn't get it to 10. And I'm just like, what just happened? Like, I don't even know like what just happened. And they would just land stuff. And it was crazy, man. It was so awesome. That year was the best. I peaked after that.
Yeah.
I peaked after that. That was like, I went to Surf Expo. We got VIP passes. I got to sit up at the table with the guys. I mean, they basically made it happen for me. And that was the greatest. That was probably the greatest. And that was before I had my surgery too. Yeah. I think I was like 255. I had ran the half marathon and went up there. That was the greatest year ever.
Yeah. Jeff is a good dude, man. Is he still with Roswell?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So he rolled through. We don't have that account anymore. We don't deal with them because we don't deal with Moomba.
Yeah.
But you know, I wish we did just so I could deal with Jeff.
Deal with how? Yeah, Jeff. Yeah. And I think they picked up Ollie Jerome too, and he's selling Roswell stuff now as well.
Yeah, Ollie's rad too. He's out at a lot of the Malibu events, and
yeah,
you know, it's kind of like the end of the movie Twins, except he's not short and fat. He's just he's short, and you know, I'm really tall, so we're beside each other, and it's it's awesome. He's a rad dude, man. He's super fun to hang out with. Chad Sharp's rad too. You know,
I liked him. We had a lot of good times with him.
Yeah.
Especially when he came to the boat shows, like we would take him out and stuff, and like he was fun to hang out with. Yeah, I agree with that. There was a lot of great people.
Yeah, there's not many guys that you run into that are just a-holes. You know, there's a few, but it's the population in general is just there's so many good dudes because they realize that they're doing something that most people wish they could do for a living.
Right, exactly.
You know, you're having fun for a living. And I know it's hard on your body and whatnot. I get it. But it's not going to last very long. But some of those guys have made, you know, super long careers like Shane Bonifay. That dude's he's been in it forever.
Shane Park, Sean, Eric Ruck. I mean,
Arf.
Brian Grubb.
Yeah. Grubb still has some of the best hair, bro.
He's doing a bunch of stuff. He's like trying to I mean, he's still riding pretty hard, it seems like.
Yeah, I haven't really been following him. I'm not much into wake skating, and once he shifted to that, I loved seeing his sections, but I'm not going out to seek that because it's not something that interests me, because I know the impossibility of me ever getting to a point where anybody would want to see me do it.
Yeah. There's some good skaters out there now. And then cable helped them progress even more.
Mm-hmm. Who's the Ronix guy that was just super dope at skating? Usually they rock the
Reed Hansen.
Yes, is he still riding?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because he had the most insane parts I've ever seen. You know, you had Grubb doing more wake stuff that blew your mind, but the technical aspect of riding, Reed was just killing it.
Yeah, he's still riding, and he's still doing like crazy, like you said, he's just super. He's like the Nigel Houston of wake skating.
Yeah, it's insane. It blows my mind to watch those guys ride. I can't even process what it takes to ride like that.
Yeah, agreed. Let alone, kick the board out and take it to the shins. Like, yeah, they can have that.
Bruh,
they can have it.
Grip tape up your face with some speed, not so much. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's a special thing, man. I don't like doing it on the street because it's just frustrating, and just to take it to the water, which I feel is way more complicated. It's insane to me. And those dudes are so.
I remember watching Reed at Falls for one of the Battle of the Brands, and he was riding, and I remember him doing a kickflip wake to wake, and then I guess he kicked it wrong, and it spun and it stopped, and then he just immediately just kicked it even harder and just pushed it so far away from him. And I remember watching it, and I was like, then I asked him, I said, why'd you do that? He says, because I don't want that thing near me when I fall. He's like, it'll tear you up more just being around you than it does if you actually, don't do it right. And he is like, that's the best he can do. If you go up there and it's not doing what you're doing, kick it and move it.
Because he used to have that, and I don't know what his new board looks like. I'm sure he still has a pro model, but he had that double decker, and that thing was gnarly heavy.
The bi-level, yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like anybody's making bi-levels anymore. I feel like everybody's doing like a wood skate, but I could be wrong. I haven't seen one in a long time.
They went in so many directions, from the sponge with a little bit of the pads, and then they had the little hooks, and then they ran, I think cassette, with Thomas Harrell. They really put the wood deck aspect of it. And I remember seeing the first time somebody did a kickflip. I think it was Harrell. And it was out in the flats, and it was just like, it can't get any better than that. There's no way anybody can do anything harder. And now they're doing like, all the crazy stuff they're doing now.
Yeah, hill flips, big, 360 flips, and big spins, and like, because we still got Cam Shumay rides Harris Lake with us, and like we'll pull him on a wake set, and he still does big spins and shoves, and wake to wake kick flips and wake to wake indie shows, and so like, I mean, he's still crushing it.
Yeah, I've seen him at the park. I've not seen him ride boat, but just seeing him at the park on the skates, ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, we're on the 77 club, son. We're both, 44.
Yeah. Well, I yell at him. All the time. I tell him to do like a Canadian bacon. I like that's like, he was like, "What do you want to see?" I'm like, "Canadian bacon," and I don't even know what it is. I just like saying Canadian bacon.
It's a grab though, isn't it? Isn't it like an old school
it's some
grab?
it's some kind of like, I think you go behind the legs all the way through to the front of the board or something. It's either your left hand or your right hand. It's the opposite of chicken salad.
Right. So your front hand's chicken salad, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so then it's your right hand all the way through to the front, from behind to the front.
Yeah. I used to do some chicken salad, son.
Yeah, Brennan is really good at chicken salad and Canadian bacon. Like, he can get his body going all different ways. It's crazy.
I think it's been a long time since I've tried one. I tried to integrate that into a front, and it's so weird to get your body up over and then get everything back together to reach in and grab that.
Yeah.
It's probably why you don't see many people doing it. I tried it a few times. It was just like, bro,
old
good,
front chicken salad. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, those the rocket grabs, you know, or the seatbelt grabs were pretty crazy. I can't like physically, I cannot reach the nose of the board with my back hand.
Never tried it.
I can barely do it sitting on the ground, let alone in the middle of something.
Yeah, I got to where I like doing that. I guess it's toe nose or cradle or seatbelt or whatever. And that's my favorite one. And then that new trick now is like that toe. It's either, if it's my front hand, then it's a toe melon. Is that right?
It's been a long time since I've been acclimated to what the grabs are. I used to know everything with that stuff.
I feel like it would be a toe. It's a toe side melon grab. I feel like is correct. But then I don't go to 180. I stay basically toe side and I'm landing crossed up. So,
right.
and that's what I mean, it's the weirdest thing in the world, but I feel like it looks cool. It could look horrible, but it feels cool.
Hey, if it feels cool and you enjoy doing it, man, just keep with it. That's the case. You know, that's what you need to keep doing. It's, you know, we just started riding for fun anymore.
Yeah.
And I still like doing tumble turns on the wakeboard, especially in turns where you're just humming. It's the stupidest looking trick. And I think the girl I was dating.
Are they hard to do?
Stupid easy. Yes and no. If you have the concept and understand what's going on, super easy. But it does take a lot of speed and it does take a very tight life jacket. I had a problem with one of the O'Brien jackets when I was riding for O'Brien that it would catch and it would just work like a parachute and stop me. If you've got a really tight, fairly firm padded jacket, you just slide around like a tumble turn barefooting. Mostly handle position. And I landed the first one I ever tried. So I never had that learning issue of trying to figure out the problem with it, but it's very similar to like a surface roll on the kneeboard or a tumble turn in barefooting, you know, which I think knowing those beforehand, super easy, but you have to be humming, you know,
so it's pretty fast.
Yeah. So I'll do them in a turn, you know, when you do like the super crazy shit whips. Flung out. I'll do them there right near the end after you've just totally gotten all that speed right before you almost stop. I'll usually stand there, or if I throw a big railie and I need to slow down faster, I'll throw one.
Yeah.
But it's really not hard. And, you know, it was always a weird trick nobody did because everybody thought you crashed and then you just stood back up. So it's something I did for fun.
Yeah, I ought to try one time just to see if I can do it and see, and maybe me and Johnny will try that.
Yeah, man, if we ride together, I'll show you how to do it, or I can explain to you what I'm thinking while I do it. The trick is you can't come around too fast because if you do and stand up, the board will actually catch and you'll slam on your face.
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to do that.
So you want to whip around and you've got to get that happy medium of speed to where you have enough speed to carry and stand back up without going too far. It's a pretty ridiculous trick, but you really want to cut out and you start to lean a little forward and you throw the center of your lower back into the water and keep your feet up. And then you're working the handle from what was your back hip, essentially as you go underneath it, pull to your front hip.
Okay.
And it's really not as complicated as I just made it sound.
Yeah.
But I could go over with you on the floor what you're doing and how it works for me. I'm sure there's a couple other ways to do it. You know, because mine looks a little different than Sean Murray's.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a smaller guy and he looks like he could ride on his back all day. I've got a limited window, bro. I got to get back up on my feet or it's going to be bad news.
Yeah. It would be cool. It would be cool to have just to, you know, mess with people. Like when you have a bunch of people on the boat and you do that, it would be cool to have that in your repertoire.
The good way to try it is either in a turn or, you know how you come in and cut across the wake and you ollie onto the table with the wake and then down the backside, you don't get any air. So you kind of jump the face.
Yeah.
You can do that and carry all that speed over. And then when you're about 15 to 20 feet out on the flats, then throw it.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good ways, but it's easier in a turn because you're already generating so much speed.
Right.
So it's definitely something worth having in your trick bag just for shiggles.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like those weird grabs, like, you know, guys doing fashion airs. It's like a fashion air, you know, it's one of those.
Yeah.
You can't see it and not put a smile on your face, you know?
Yeah, Johnny gives me a hard time for him. He hates them, and so I'll do at least one a set just for Johnny, and then I've started trying to do a toe side fashion air, just
Oh,
just to
wow.
just to do it, you know, see what it looks like and make it funny.
There's guys doing, I've seen guys do like toe side fashion air to blind 180s.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's pretty cool. I used to have a buddy of mine. His name is Mitchell Cresson, and that dude, he was a bigger guy, and he had the Malibu Response at the time, so he was a barefooter mostly, but he still wakeboarded, and he did random tricks that, since we were doing flips and Rayleighs and things like that, he started doing these other tricks that we weren't doing because he's adding something to the mix. There's a couple cool ones that he would do that I never quite figured out. But one of the funniest ones, he would do a fashion air, but he called it the Carl Malone, and he'd put his hand behind his head and like push his hands out, you know, like Carl Malone when he used to dunk.
Yeah.
And then he would do this one thing where we would go under a bridge and he would whip out and pull the rope and then outrun the other side of the supports of the bridge, come back around and grab the handle out of the water.
Oh yeah, I bet that was cool.
I can't do that to this day, I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on, but he used to do it, you know, like it was nothing. It was awesome, you know. And
yeah.
that was a fun guy to travel with. So he brought the boat. He bought a boat, and so we all rode with him on Lake Norman. And he would travel with us to all the kneeboard and wakeboard competitions. And he used to get pretty heavy into drinking. And he woke me up at like 3 a.m. one night when they got back from the bars in nothing but his tidy whities and socks in the hotel pool, screaming at the top of his lungs. It was amazing. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I bet those were good times.
Good times, man. Those are great times. And, you know, you came in 10 years after that, you know, and that was a different era. I don't think the new era is bad, but when everything was fresh and new, was pretty fun.
Yeah, I bet.
And just, you know, being on the forefront of that, it was neat. So we were, you know, kind of legends on the lakes that we grew up on, you know, because we were OGs. But the kids now are just so much better than I'll ever.
Oh yeah.
And
they got bigger wakes and they got more access to it. And it's just, you know, I mean, shoot, when I started wakeboarding, I was 22 and 22 and 300 pounds. And, you know, their flipping was not even in anywhere near where I needed it to be.
That was all we wanted to do. So we were like renting like the old Hyperlight Pro, the HO Hyperlight Pro from Lake Norman Marina. And we would go out behind, I think we had a 76, 78 Dixie, it's a tiny boat. And we would just go out 75 feet of line, whatever speed it was going, and just try whatever, you know, flips were still, you know, kind of new. The blender was like the dopest trick. So, it was fun, man. I think you came up in a different time, and I feel like you've made yourself as significant in your time frame as anybody did during the time frame I rode in. Like, I feel like you're a staple through the wakeboard community, which is amazing. I mean, not that your riding wasn't up to the par level, but
no, it's definitely like, I don't know. I guess from just, you know, doing like announcing the contest and, you know, just being like it's funny to say, like, not to sound conceited, but you're like, I just was talking and having a good time. And then Chris handed me a microphone and then it just like clicked. And then you were like, one day I thought it would be funny to put my name as Hot Sauce as my middle name. I was hanging out with Nick Joseph and Mark and all those boys from Wilmington. And then boom, it was like you were like a wakeboarding celebrity. Everybody knew who I was announcing. And then we would do the rail jams, and then I'd do stuff with Red Bull. And then it was just like they didn't know who Matt Schrier was, but they knew who Hot Sauce was. And it was like so crazy how that went. And then like I couldn't do anything past 180s. But
Yeah.
then like I met good people like Jason from Slingshot took care of me, always, helped me out. And then all the guys from Liquid Force, anytime I needed something, they would help me out. And like I don't know why. I mean, you were just like, it was all about pushing the sport. I wanted everybody to ride. I wanted everybody to be a part of it. And man, I mean, literally had so much fun. And still to this day, still have so much fun doing
I
it.
think you were you're probably the best type of individual to endorse a product.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who dislikes hot sauce.
Yeah.
Mad,
It's a good thing. I'm blessed for sure. That's what I tell people all the time. And like even now, with my new job, like people like I'm just really good at networking and like and seeing that, like that's why my boss got me. She was like, I went to dinner with her and her husband, and she's like, I got to get you. You got to work for me. Like, she sought me out. She's like, I can train you how to sell. Like your personality, you're gonna do so well, and do like, because literally, I'll walk into a bar and like I'm gonna talk to somebody. Whether or not they don't like it, I'm gonna say, hey, and who I am, and go from there. And it's just been like that whole just how I am, like it's just I'm just naturally tuned to that.
Yeah, man, I see it. And I mean, I didn't know who you were at that first tournament we met and you said something to me. I think your first interaction with me was probably making fun of me for something.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
I don't know what it was, but I remember seeing you and I was talking to Chris. I was like, I don't know who that dude is. Do I know him from somewhere? And we haven't met yet. And then,
Yeah.
what was, Eric? Is that his name? The guy from Greensboro that was riding on the team too?
Yeah. Eric
Yeah,
Tumas. Yes. Yeah.
same thing. Like just immediately catching shit from that dude. And I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
who this dude is. Like, did I meet
Yeah.
these guys back when I used to ride and they're growing up now? And that's not the case. And I didn't know you guys were on the team. We didn't get like a roster. I had no
No.
idea.
No.
No. So it was funny. But it's awesome. Have you talked to Eric recently?
When did I talk to him? I talked to him probably about 2 years, a year ago, last year. I talked to him last year because I still follow him on Instagram. And I was down in Morehead City, and I think that's where his mom lives now. And we helped her move a boat somewhere. They needed a guy down there for a truck, and he wasn't able to get down there because I think he still lives in
Mhm.
like Winston-Salem or Greensboro or up in that area. He might be in Lexington.
He's in that area.
Yeah, something like that.
And the reason I know he's in that area is I was picking up 2 jet skis, probably a year and a half ago,
Hmm.
and it was still cold out. And I see this John boat with teeth, like a fighter plane's teeth
Yeah,
spray paint.
yeah,
And I'm like, what kind of redneckery BS is going
yeah,
on here?
yeah,
And just screaming. And he pulls up with this John boat that he's taken the hull of a jet ski and married them together. And he's running the controls sitting in what used to be a kitchen, like wicker-esque looking chair.
oh yeah,
The most unsafe thing I've ever seen. And he's like, dude, come out here and take a ride in this. I'm like, nah, I'll pass because that
yeah,
looks janky. But it
yeah,
looks so badass. I just didn't want
yeah,
to get out there and drive it and screw it up because it looks like he had a lot of work in it.
yeah.
I still had to get back to work. I was picking
That
some stuff up.
typical Eric for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
He's
100%. Yeah.
he's a pretty rad dude to hang out with. I don't
Yeah.
see how he skated not getting in any more trouble than he has
Oh yeah. Ain't that the truth?
because
Ain't that the truth?
he just seems to skate on through and not
Yeah.
get pinned on it.
Man.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Because
yeah, he was at one of the
what was it? His buddy Bryce, him and Bryce rode a lot. And then I think Bryce still rides with Martin now Bryce was like you, he just to the moon. Everything he went was super large. I remember there was only like a handful of guys that would just like send it. like straight out to the flat, super huge. And Bryce, I remember you, Bryce, and Steven were the top three in our area that did that.
I didn't really feel like I went all that big, but everybody.
Your Rayleighs were ridiculous.
My front flips were probably on
They
par
were
with
big
as anybody could ride when I was at my peak. I do remember, I don't know if you do this, but do you remember like when you do a trick the best you've ever done it? There's one instance where it just sears it into your mind. The best front I ever did was behind my buddy's forewinds that was weighted down. And I swear I landed beside the boat. It's the biggest front I've ever done, and it's scared the crap out of me. And to this day, those guys still talk about that front that I did being huge. When everything just comes together and just randomly everything happens perfectly.
Yeah.
Those are really neat times, and you never know when they're going to happen. We were in Tennessee and I cranked this humongous Rayleigh, and this little kid was standing on the beach with his sand bucket, and he's watching me, and he just drops his sand bucket in awe. Like everybody just starts laughing. I'm like, I didn't think it was that big, but that kid was amazed at the time. Dude, that warms my heart, because maybe that kid one day will wakeboard. And be like, I remember this one Yahoo out there, he did this stupid Superman, and he's like, So, I credit a lot of that stuff to being in the right place at the right time. I only got into water sports and doing tricks because the world champion kneeboarders rode in the same cove that my grandparents had a camper in on Lake Norman.
Right.
And Jonathan McDonald was training that one weekend. He comes down, he does a triple, like flip, 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 surface roll, flip, flip, flip. He's working on his flip off pass or freestyle pass, whatever it was. And then he cranks a Rayleigh on the kneeboard. And I'm that kid with the bucket of sand. I drop it and I'm like, holy crap, that can be done on that thing.
Yeah.
And, Jonathan and I became pretty decent friends. And David McDonald was the first water sports athlete to do a double flip behind the boat.
Right.
So to get pulled in with those guys, and, you're watching the world-class level of riders, and that's kind of the standard that you see, you're only going to get better.
Right.
So not much of that was my talent so much as just riding with the best talent in the world, and some of that.
So that's why I said, like, my peak was like when Mark was living with me, and like watching Mark progress as good as he did. Like when he landed, he landed his double half cab double roll off the kicker first try.
Nice.
So he went out there. We went out there after work. We got done working. We got to the house, and he goes, let's go ride Hex. And I was like, okay. He's like, bring the camera. And I was like, all right. And so we go out there, and he rides, and he does a big half cap. And I fall, and he comes up, and he's like, I can do it. Like this is when it first started. He's like, I can do it. Like, he's like, I can feel it. I can do it. And I'm like, all right. And he goes, but I need your helmet. And because like his helmet was a little bit older and it wasn't as good, and I had a newer helmet. He's like, let me wear your helmet. And I was like, okay. And literally first try, just sticks it. I mean, perfect. Like, I had the angle, I zoomed in. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better moment. And lands it, rides off, and literally I cut the clip. He always like 8 feet in the air because he is so stoked. Like, I wish I'd have kept filming him, because like he was like a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Like, instantly there was people there, but they didn't realize Mark was trying to double. It was like all of a sudden it was like only me and Mark knew that he did it. Like, I still have the double film from where I had pulled Nick's camera out and I was videotaping the LCD screen of the double. And It was like, I was like, man, that was my peak. And like, what you talk about how you ride with good riders, like Mark was my talent. And that was like, I rode through him kind of.
I will tell you that riding, just getting into riding cable and just learning, because, I hadn't ridden cable. And seeing Mark ride and seeing those guys at that skill level ride, you're just like, God, man, this is kind of defeating. These dudes are just
Yeah.
killing
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's you start realizing that even if you were on the higher level of the pecking order at any point in time, as you age, you just start working your way down,
Oh
and
yeah.
you just realize you're not significant to anything anymore.
That's like me with inverts. I'm just like, yeah, I think I'll just have fun and golf.
Right, dude. I
Yeah.
think I couldn't imagine anybody being more liked in the industry than you are.
Wow,
And
that's a good thing. That's an awesome thing to say. I appreciate that.
yeah, man, I've always liked you since I've met you, and
Yeah.
you've always been
Same.
awesome to talk to. And you'd stop in, I'm not as likable of a guy as you are. I get it. It's my personality. I don't know if it's my disposition. It's what I look like. Maybe I don't.
I've never had any situations where I have not liked you, Shannon.
Oh, well, I mean, that warms my heart, but
Yeah.
I get enough to where I know that I don't rub all people the right way.
Yeah.
And I think my sarcasm isn't as easily translated to other individuals. I never mean any
Yeah.
harm out of anything I say,
Right.
but sometimes I'm a little
Right.
rough because the guys that I grew up with, we are rough on each other, man.
Yeah.
You would think that we hated each other. So when I turn it back to like a 2 from what I'm used to with my buddies,
Yeah.
that 2 is still not socially acceptable by most
Right.
people.
Right. Right.
But you tread that a lot better, man. And like I said, you're one of my favorite people that I've met through wakeboarding, and I've been in it a long time, man. And I think, you're a really likable dude. And if I had a company that I needed somebody to endorse it, you'd be on the top of the list of just a
Oh
champion.
yeah, I appreciate that. And that's one thing that I'm always good about is just like if I like a product, I'm gonna back it hard. And
Yeah.
and I think that's really helped me out every time that I've done stuff with people.
Yeah. I mean, I genuinely think that you come across as one of the least selfish individuals. Like, you're a selfless individual in the sport, and you're all about, I've never seen someone as stoked to ride as you
Oh,
are.
yeah, that's
Never, bro.
that's a definite fact. Yeah.
So you went just to see how much joy you get out of riding is something that I try to remember, because it's been a very long time since
Yeah.
I had that feeling, and you look like you have that feeling nonstop. And that
Yeah,
is
I try to. Yeah. I
that's
definitely
amazing.
try to.
You'll have
Yeah,
to give me some of the sauce and let me figure out how to do that, because I would love
yeah.
to do that. I'd love to figure out what it takes to just keep that perpetual stoke that you have.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know how I do it. It's just, man, I just love being on the water. I mean, that's really, it's hard to beat that. And I think I get it from my dad because they grew up skiing and stuff,
Mhm.
and it's more or less just that whole like, just being out in the sun is as long as I'm in the sun and on the water, I mean, it don't get no better for me.
Well, man, personally, I hope you're out in the sun, you're out on the boat forever, because I think you bring a lot to the sport. I think you bring a lot to any situation as a person. You're, like I said, you're one of the most genuine people that I know, and you're super stoked about almost anything, and you make everybody else stoked about it.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
appreciate that. Yeah.
you seem to carry a lot of the weight of making sure everybody's happy around you
Yeah.
without going out of your way to seem like you're carrying the weight to make everyone happy around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, even when you're messing with people, they still feel good about themselves, even though you're crapping on them.
Yeah, yeah. That took a little while to learn how to get good at, but yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do pull the chain on some guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm glad that you took the time to talk with me, man. And I hope you get your podcast together. I'd love to, sit
Yeah,
down with you on that one.
we're trying to figure it out. I've been going on a lot of golf trips and for work, and we're talking about doing this podcast about like golf and gas, like how you can benefit your company by saving fuel, but then also we're playing a lot of golf, playing a lot of golf and going to a lot of tournaments, and it's kind of been funny. And so I've been like posting stuff on Instagram, just seeing what, like, if I did start a podcast, would people actually listen to it? And we surprisingly had like 50 people that told me to do a podcast. So I was like kind of thinking about maybe doing it. So it was kind of neat that you happened to hit me up before that. And then, so now I'm kind of like considering maybe doing it.
It's not super hard, man. I would suggest you do it. Like I said, you're a likable dude, so you'll probably get a lot of followers. I did it because I feel like I've got a lot of interesting friends. I've been blessed with a whole bunch of people in my life that I find interesting, that bring a lot to the world, and I want those people to share their stories. And if I can talk to them, and I want to learn from other people. I'm just a curious individual. And I've, just wanted to do them because I want to learn from other people. I'm going to record it. We'll put it out there. If no one else listens, I'm not doing it because everybody else needs to listen, but I want to talk to the people that I know that I'm interested in. And if it ever takes off and goes anywhere, that's fine. If not, I'm getting to have awesome conversations. We're documenting the life of people and hoping that, other people, if they hear it, maybe they'll get something out of it, and they might be going through the same struggle. They might be having the same, direction in life, and they can relate to somebody.
Right. Yeah, and that's cool. That's cool too. So, and I like the one you sent me. That one was pretty good with that guy too. I can't remember his name, but I think it was the first one you sent me, that it was really good conversation and it went well.
Jason's been doing podcasts for over a year now. And so he's got about 50, 60 under his belt now, with various people. He still works for Monster. Now he's going to be, the media supervisor, manager. He's basically what they do in LA with all the videos and stuff.
Yeah.
He's doing that here on the East Coast. So he'll be handling all production of all events and video here.
Cool.
But we started in the same position, and when I met Jason, he had this crazy handlebar mustache. And to this day, I still picture him with that, but he only did that one event. And the first time I met him, so in my head, that is who he is, but he never but that one weekend.
Yeah, so, that's funny.
He's a good dude, man. He's really logical and talk. And I've had a lot of people say I needed to start a podcast because of my incendiary discussion posts on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Just to stir the pot a little bit. And I try to be neutral. I know I'd lean a little more right, but there's some absurd crap that's out there.
Yeah.
And, there's some people that you're just not going to sway because they've all the Kool-Aid on both sides.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know when we'll delve into those talks that'll get more discussion.
Yeah.
In that, and I mean, so many people are so sick of hearing that stuff now, man.
I don't talk to nobody about it, man. Just, you can't, it's just crazy, man.
It's worn out. And we've got here in Graham, the statue downtown, that Confederate statue.
Yeah.
Where there's a couple people who think it's their Martin Luther King time to be that significant, when it's such an irrelevant scenario in the scheme of history.
Yeah.
But I would love to talk to some of those people and see, one, where their gripes are, what their problems are, how they see society is really treating them, maybe combat that with some facts, but I don't think that's going to change anybody's mind.
No, it wouldn't, no, you just can't, when it's just so hard to, I mean, nothing you could say to them would persuade them to think about the way that you think it. And it's kind of like, it's almost like, pissing in the wind. And it's, I've got some friends that are super far left, and like, they try to always, tell me that, this, and you need to think about this. And I'm just like, man, like, can't we just wakeboard? Like, why are we bringing this up, man? Like, this is like, not even, like, I'm not even there. They're like, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, no, I don't think about that. Like, I've got better stuff to do. Like,
there's some people that I've had some discussions with, and we're definitely on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to views. But as a person, I respect that individual. And I think if you sat down there's a lot of keyboard warriors too. I think there's a lot of comfort of people not getting hit in the mouth for the things they say. And they get a little big for their britches, basically, and they'll say anything they want online, and then they're totally different in person.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm the guy that you see online. I'm that guy in person. And maybe that's why I'm not the most liked individual. But I also try not to hurt somebody. I'm not going to go out of my way to do something that's evil or bad, but I don't want you to pick on somebody else either.
Yeah, right. I agree with that.
So
and that's why I just don't like, if anybody tries to, I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. Like, I'm not even gonna tell you who I'll vote for, because it's just, I mean, you can't win. Every time that conversation is brought up, you can't win.
that's
Not
why
neither side.
that's
Neither
why we
side.
were brought up to not discuss religion and politics, but with the megaphone of social media,
Yeah.
everyone has an opinion, right or
Yeah.
wrong. So
Yeah.
and
I'll agree with that.
and some of those people, like you were talking about, in the wakeboarding community, there's a couple that I don't give a shit about, dude. I'd rather
Yeah.
punch in the
Yeah.
neck. But there's a couple that I've had quite a few heated discussions with. I have mad respect for, and
Yeah.
had some offline conversations. And we're not that far apart on what we want. Everybody wants good health care for their family. They want
Yeah.
safe environments for their kids.
Yeah.
So why is everybody arguing over some dumb shit?
Yeah. No, it's crazy what people are arguing over now.
Yeah. I
I
don't
get
know.
depressed. I get depressed seeing that stuff on Facebook, man.
Do
Like,
you?
I'll go, especially when it's an election year. It's like, oh my God, like from both sides, it's just like, Jesus Christ, guys, like what happened to the babies and the lake pictures and the sunsets and the basic girls at Starbucks? Like,
Let me
what's going on?
let me see your food again. I don't want to see these
Yeah, like
posts.
I don't want to see none of this. Like, I almost got to a point where it was like I was going to get rid of Facebook, because it's just too much.
If I didn't get so much enjoyment out of confrontation, I probably would have nailed it a long time ago. But I don't mind it. I think it's
Yeah,
it's an exercise of stressful idea conversations.
yeah,
So you've got to be a little more quick witted, and then sometimes you just can't. No matter what facts you have. I found that facts and truth are not the same.
yeah, yeah.
Fact, your truth is your perception of the facts, and you're not going to change somebody's mind.
Right. You can't. You can't.
It just is what it is.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Yep. 100% agree with that.
But just keep being a good person, keep doing good stuff for people, and keep helping people out, and eventually it all works out in the end. I hope, right?
Yeah, that's the way I'm pushing at it. Help
So
everybody you can.
yeah, because you'll need it someday. Everybody's
Yep.
going to need it someday.
That's right.
So, well, man, I appreciate you taking the time, man. Hopefully you'll get your podcast going. I'm sure tons of people will listen to it because, you're a likable dude that comes up with funny stuff, and it's always good to talk to you. So I'm sure you'll be able to talk to everybody else. You have no
Yeah.
shortage of words.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and I appreciate you asking me to join and stuff. It's really neat. So I'm pretty pumped on how it went. So once again, I appreciate you bringing me out.
Yeah, man. How do you want people to follow you? You can throw your Instagram handle up, whatever.
Yeah. I don't even know how do I do that.
You just tell them right now, and then
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm on Instagram. It's super easy. It's just at Matt Hot Sauce. I mean, can't get no better than that. First one, no numbers, no hyphens, nothing. Just at Matt Hot Sauce on Instagram right now. Um, and then like I said, I mean, I got a Twitter, but I don't use it, so it's mainly just Instagram. Everything I do is off of Instagram now.
Right on, man. Well, hopefully some people will hear this. They'll get to know the sauce a little better.
Oh yeah,
And hopefully, get to know this guy that I got to know, that I'm glad
yeah,
came into my life, brother. And I'm glad that you were there. I'm glad you got to share some of your stories, and
yeah.
hopefully we'll have plenty of stories together, in the future here.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely need to come ride with you. We're overdue for that.
We are definitely overdue. It's just
Yeah.
adulting takes up more time than they told you it would.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Well, brother, we'll get up with you soon, man. Thanks for coming out.
All right, man. Take care, brother.
Peace.
Boom, boom, boom. Oh.